video in a playlist. This is on topography. This is on pillars. Genesis 43. This is Laban answered, and he said to Jacob, "These are my daughters. These children are my children. These cattle are my cattle, and everything you see is mine. And what can I do this day unto these my daughters, or unto their children which they have borne? Now, therefore, come thou, let us make a covenant, I and thou, and let it be a witness between me and thee." And Jacob took a stone, and he set it up for a pillar. And Jacob said to his brethren, "Gather stones," and they took stones, and they made a heap, and they did eat there upon the heap. And Laban called it Yager Shadutha, but Jacob called it Gilead. And Laban said, "This heap is a witness between me and thee this day." Therefore the name of it was called Gilead. And Mizpah, for he said, "The Lord watch between me and thee, when we are absent from one another. And if thou shalt afflict my daughters, or if thou shalt take other wives besides my daughters, no man is with us." See, God is witness betwixt me and thee. And Laban said to Jacob, "Behold this heap, and behold this pillar, which I have cast betwixt me and thee. This heap be a witness, and this pillar be a witness. And I will not pass over this heap to thee, and thou shalt not pass over this heap and this pillar unto me for harm." Genesis 35, Jacob set up a pillar in the place where he talked with that angel that wrestled with him, even a pillar of stone, and he poured a drink offering thereon. Genesis 35:20, Jacob set up another pillar on Rachel's grave. A pillar on Rachel's grave is there to this day. Genesis 35:20. Pillars is in there 74 times. That's a lot. Okay. 2 Samuel 18:8. Absalom in his life had taken and reared up for himself a pillar, which is in the king's dale. For he said, "I have no son to keep my name in remembrance," and he called the pillar after his own name. And it is called unto this day Absalom's place. 2 Kings 25:18. That is talking about a physical pillar. The height of one pillar was 18 cubits, and the chapter upon it was brass, and the height of the chapter 3 cubits, and the wreathen work about the pomegranates upon the chapter round about, all of brass. And like unto these had the second pillar with wreathen work. 2 Chronicles 23:13. The king stood at his pillar. She looked, and behold, the king was standing at the pillar at the entering in, and the princes and the trumpets by the king, and all the people of the land rejoiced. The sound of the trumpets and the singers and the instruments of music, such as taught to sing praise. Then Athaliah rent her clothes and said, "Treason, treason." Isaiah 19, a pillar at the border of Egypt. How about Isaiah 19:19? "In that day there shall be an altar to the Lord in the midst of the land of Egypt, and a pillar at the border thereof to the Lord." Jeremiah 52:21, concerning the pillars, the height of one pillar 18 cubits, and the fillet of 12 cubits did compass it, and the thickness thereof was 4 fingers. It was hollow. 1 Timothy 3:15, "If I tarry long, that thou mayest know how thou oughtest to behave thyself in the house of God, which is the church of the living God, the pillar and ground of the truth." Revelation 3:12, I think this is a promise to the church of Philadelphia. To him that overcometh, I will make a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go out no more. And I will write upon him the name of my God, and the name of the city of my God, which is New Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven from my God. And I will write upon him my new name. Genesis 16:26. Lot's wife turned into a pillar of salt. Genesis 19:26. We have Genesis 31:15. A pillar, thou shalt not pass over this heap and this pillar for harm. Exodus 24:4. 12 pillars, according to the 12 tribes of Israel. Moses wrote all the words of the Lord, rose up early in the morning, built an altar under the hill, and 12 pillars. 4 pillars of shittim wood overlaid with gold. That's Exodus 26:32. With hooks shall be of gold upon the 4 sockets of silver. Exodus 26:37. Thou shalt make for the hanging 5 pillars of shittim wood and overlay them with gold. Their hooks shall be of gold, and they shall cast 5 sockets of brass for them. I mean, we could read all of Exodus 27 probably, because that's all about the pillars. Okay, Exodus 27 is called the altar of the Holocaust. How about that? You are to make, well, this is the Jerusalem version, okay? It says, you are to make the altar out of acacia wood, square, 5 cubits long, 5 cubits wide. Its height is to be about 3 cubits. At its 4 corners, you are to put horns, and horns to be of 1 piece with it, plating it with bronze. For the altar, you are to make pans for the ashes from fat, shovels, sprinkling, basin, hooks, fire pans. You must make all the vessels for the altar out of bronze. You are to make a grating for it, a bronze network. And on the 4 corners of this, fix 4 bronze rings. This grating you must set under the altar's ledge so that it reaches halfway up the altar. And for the altar you are to make shafts of acacia wood and plate them with bronze. These are to be passed through the rings so that they are on either side of the altar when it's carried. You are to make the altar hollow of boards. You will make it in a way that was shown to you on the mountain. The court. You are to make the court of the tabernacle facing the south country on the southern side. The hangings of the court are to be fine twined linen, 100 cubits long for one side. Their 20 bronze posts are to be set in 20 bronze sockets, and to have their hooks and rods of silver. So too, for the northern side there are to be hangings 100 cubits long, and 20 posts set in 20 bronze sockets, with their hooks and rods of silver across the width of the court. On the western side there are to be 50 cubits of hangings carried on 10 posts set in 10 sockets. The width of the court on the eastern side facing the sunrise is to be 50 cubits. On one side of the gateway there are to be 15 cubits of hangings carried on 3 posts set in 3 sockets. And on the other side of the gateway there is also to be 15 cubits hangings carried on 3 posts set in 3 sockets. The gateway to the court is to consist in a screen 20 cubits wide, made of purple stuffs, violets, shades, and red, and crimson stuffs, fine twined linen, the work of a skilled embroiderer, carried on 4 posts set in 4 sockets. All the posts enclosing the courts are to be connected by silver rods. Their hooks are to be silver, their sockets of bronze. The length of the court is to be 100 cubits. Its width 50 cubits, its height 5 cubits. All the hangings are to be made of fine twined linen, and their sockets of brass, and all the furnishings for whatsoever used in the tabernacle, and all the pegs of it and the courts must be of bronze. You are to order the sons of Israel to bring you pure olive oil for the light, and to keep a flame burning there perpetually. Aaron and his sons are to set this flame in the tent of meeting outside the veil that is before the testimony, and it must burn there before the Lord from evening to morning perpetually. This is an irrevocable ordinance for their descendants to be kept by the sons of Israel. Okay, so I guess the King James uses the word pillar all throughout this. This one we used, looks like posts, carried on 10 posts. Their pillars 10. Okay, so we have Deuteronomy, you shall overthrow their altars and break their pillars. That's Deuteronomy 12:3. Numbers 4:32, the pillars of the court round about, and their sockets and their pins and their cords with all their instruments and all their service. And by name you shall reckon the instruments of the charge of their burden. Pillars of the court round about, Numbers 3:37, with their sockets and their pins and their cords. Judges 16:26, Samson, he said to the lad that held him by the hand, "Suffer me that I may feel the pillars whereupon the house standeth, that I may lean upon them." And we know Samson to be like the first suicide bomber, so much as that he killed himself and a bunch of other people when he was blind and well beat up anyway. He pushed these pillars down. We have 2 pillars and the 2 bowls of the chapters on the top of the 2 pillars, and the 2 networks. That's 1 Kings 7:41, 2 networks. Upon the top of the pillar was lily work, 1 Kings 7:22. Pillars in the porch of the temple. He set up the right pillar and called the name thereof Jachin, and he set up the left pillar and he called the name Boaz. 1 Kings 7:21. Proverbs 9:1, wisdom builded her house, and she has hewn out her 7 pillars. Pillars of heaven tremble, Job's 26:11. Pillars of the earth tremble, Job 9:6. Esther talks about pillars of marble. That's Esther 1:6. Song of Solomon's 5:15. His legs are as pillars of marble set upon sockets of fine gold. His countenance is as Lebanon, excellent as the cedars. Ezekiel 40:49, the length of the porch was 20 cubits and breadth 11 cubits, and he brought me by the steps whereby they went up on it, and there were pillars by the posts, one on this side, one on the other. Joel 2:30, pillars of smoke. I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood, fire, and pillars of smoke. I guess conclave. How about Galatians 2:9? James, Cephas, and John, who seemed to be pillars, perceived that grace was given unto me, and they gave to me and Barnabas the right hand of fellowship, that we should go to the heathen and they to the circumcision. Revelation 10:1, pillar of fire. I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, a rainbow upon his head, and his face was as it were the sun, and his feet pillars of fire. 2 Chronicles 4:12, to wit, the 2 pillars and the pommels and the chapters which were on top of the 2 pillars, and the 2 wreaths to cover the 2 pommels of the chapter which were on top of the pillars. 2 Kings 25:16, 2 pillars, 1 sea, and the bases that Solomon made for the house of the Lord. The brass of all the vessels was without weight. Pillars of brass in the house of the Lord. And the brazen sea that was in the house of the Lord did the Chaldees break in pieces, and carried the brass of them to Babylon. 2 Kings 18, pillars which Hezekiah, the king of Judah, overlaid and gave it to king of Assyria. Hezekiah cut off the gold from the doors of the temple like a crackhead, and he cut the gold off the pillars. Okay, I'm going to end this. Have a great weekend.